Hey, let's look at Chloe Swarbrick and Karen Chhour.
Oh
On
God,
this.
that's a horrible matchup.
Really?
My God,
You
really,
want to do it? Let's
really?
have the Herald's version version of BHN. Big,
The Herald
big,
Virgin.
the big
I'm just
Herald
going to call him
News.
that.
Big HN. Big Herald News. I think that's what they call it.
Ryan
We should
Bridge, notable virgin.
Photoshop the B and the N in the background there. They did talk about Gaza and they did talk about the ministerial sanctions, but the other thing they talked about was taxing the rich. And I have to tell you, this conversation is so dumb. Ryan Bridge, like, well, they've worked really hard. Why should they be punished? And Karen Chhour, it's just to envy. Like, honestly, if it was a different word, if it was a different time, I'd probably use a particular R word about this conversation, but I won't. So I'll just say it's utterly redonkulous. That's the word I'll use, redonkulous. And I want you all to have to suffer through it because I fucking did.
Because we had the rich list come out and we had Graham Hart, I think, was second, and we had the Mowbrays up the top with billions and billions and squillions of dollars. And Chloe says tax.
Squillions of dollars, Chewie. I didn't realise.
We had the Mowbrays up the top with billions and billions and squillions of dollars. And Chloe says.
Can I ask a question? Is this officially jazz hands? I might have to edit this and make it go backwards and forwards a few times.
We had the Mowbrays up the top with billions and billions and squillions of dollars. And Chloe says tax them. And Karen, you say not. Why not?
Look, I mean, there's always going to be people.
So it's a fine question. Why don't we tax the rich, the uber rich? Karen Chhour, why not?
That are successful in this world.
Yes.
And we need to start celebrating success and actually teaching people to strive for success and not to feel ashamed of it.
Right.
The other part is that when we have success.
So apparently the Mowbrays, with their helicopter pads in the Waitemata Harbour, they're ashamed. That's what she's suggesting. They are ashamed of their billions.
It's really hard to be ashamed when you're in a helicopter.
Yeah. Ashamed.
But they managed it.
We can stop being ashamed. You billionaires, please, billionaires, like, just be kind to yourselves. Go and spend some of your money. Stop being ashamed of your money.
For success and not to feel ashamed of it. The other part is that when we have successful people like that, they create jobs, they create opportunities for those.
Bullshit.
Trickle down economics. We need to have a competition for someone to make us a trickle down economics sting. And every time that comes up, we just push a button and trickle down. Because I mean, I think Chloe does say it, so I won't stand on her toes. But 40 years to show us how this works, Karen. Hasn't happened yet, Chewie.
How many New Zealanders do the Mowbrays employ?
Yeah,
their products made here? Are they developed here somehow? No, they're made in a factory in China, aren't they? Probably paying people 30 cents a day. It's bullshit. It's always been bullshit. Billionaires shouldn't exist. They should get to a limit and then go, well, that's enough money. The rest can go on charitable stuff if they want, or it should be forcibly taken to them under the threat of pain. It's ridiculous.
I did this today because I was interested. Nicole, what's her name? Schlesinger. She used to be one of the Pussycat Dolls. Used to go out with Lewis Hamilton. She won a Tony overnight for a role she's playing on stage. And I was, because I got caught into the thing, I looked up and she used to go out with Lewis Hamilton. So I looked up Lewis Hamilton and I came across what his net worth is. I'm going somewhere, Chewie. His net worth is $450 million. So not even $1 billion, which means he's 40. He could not earn another cent, spend $1 million a month for the rest of his life and still have money. And that's a half billionaire, right? Because that would last 45 years or 40 years, I think it was. And we did this the other day with Musk. It was some ridiculous amount, like $1 million a day or $1 million a week or whatever. And it was like 950 years. And of course, obviously what I'm saying is, and not earning another cent, of course, if you had $450 million, you're also getting interest on that. So you actually wouldn't ever run out of money. It would keep on building up and keep on building up, keep on building up. Yeah, so it's so to say, I mean, I've never really said I haven't really thought through we don't need billionaires. I get the concept, but the point is you can never spend it. Unless you're Donald Trump and you figure out how to make two casinos go bankrupt, the only place where they say the house always wins and you can make them go bankrupt, if you just stopped and started spending millions of dollars a month, you'd still have money left at the end of your life.
It's not envy. Nobody's saying these people should be ashamed or they shouldn't be successful. It's just the way that we've chosen to, well, the way that Karen here has chosen to recognize their success is a massive pile of unspendable money that somehow we can't go, hey, you know this country that you grew up in and you currently live in? We want to make that better for everyone, and you seem to be doing really, really well. This rich list has increased in these economic conditions. When everybody is doing it tough and the fucking government can't find enough money, these guys have increased their wealth. The fact that billionaires exist is an ethical and moral failure on behalf of the state and on behalf of the people with this money. The more money you get, that you just go, I've just run out of shit to spend it on. Now it's space rockets or maybe buying a government. That shouldn't happen. In the past, it has been the peasants are revolting. They're kicking in the front doors of the palace. We should have seen this earlier. Why is this something that has got rampantly out of control throughout the West since the 1980s? It's neoliberalism. It does not fucking work, and we need to put the brakes on it. This is fucked.
There's one thing I was going to correct you on. You said that they've chosen, Karen Chhour has chosen. Karen Chhour doesn't choose. She chooses. Just remember, Karen Chhour has chosen. That's it. Here we go.
Have a drum roll.
To be doing better in their life. I mean, I grew up in a lot of poverty, but never did I blame others for being successful for my poverty. What I did do was look up to those people and think, wow, this is...
Lie. Sorry.
Nobody's saying that.
No, but hang on. But you're telling me as a 9-year-old sitting there in poverty, you aspired and looked up to the person driving the BMW driving. Sorry, I don't buy it. No child thinks like that. I do not buy it. My bullshit nerve is going off. That is my honest help.
Such a bullshit line.
Yeah.
I could achieve and worked really hard to achieve that. I mean, it is difficult, it is hard, but to sit there and envy people for being successful, I think is what's wrong with this country at the moment.
Chloe, did you grow up in poverty too?
Stupidest question ever asked in an interview by Ryan Bridge. I think the podcast awards next year is going to have stupidest question ever asked, and that's up there.
That'd be nice.
Because whether it's active or not, what are you saying, Ryan? That Karen's got a better story to tell because she grew up in poverty, and if Chlöe didn't, it's undermining. What's the point of this question?
I grew up in, I guess, a caring family where I had opportunities and parents who did everything that they possibly could for me. But I think that if we remove
should
ourselves...
tax people who are that rich or richer?
Well, I think that this is a matter of systematic fairness, right? This isn't...
But you think we should tax people who are rich or richer? Yes. In fact, we should probably tax almost everybody. So yes, we should obviously tax people who are rich, if not richer. They should just be taxed a bit more. So right. Yes. What's the answer to that question? When you ask a question where the obvious answer and only answer is yes, what is the point in asking that question? Sorry, Chewie.
I was just going to say, Ryan, buddy, come here. How much tax do you pay? I bet it's about 30 cents on the dollar. These guys pay an effective tax rate of 9%.
9%.
Now, we know that because the IRD did a study. Previous government commissioned it. It was important information that apparently everybody had forgotten to look for. Now the IRD has been told to disregard it. We're not doing anything about it. But that's the thing. We're sort of going, oh, leave these poor billionaires alone. They've worked really hard. They've created jobs. Everything is politics of envy. It's because it's not fair. They're going to go, oh, but they pay so much more tax than I do. Not as a percentage, they fucking don't.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't need it because their wealth keeps growing. And what they're doing with that wealth is making more and more political donations to entrench this privilege that they have got now. Like if we taxed the Mowbrays properly, they would still be obscenely wealthy. They would still be able to put fuel in their helicopter. We are not sending them to the fucking poorhouse, or my personal opinion, into an industrial grinder.
Speaking of that, I told you guys in the last few days that I'm going to get someone on. In America, it's called Billionaires for Humanity. In New Zealand, it's called Sharing Wealth. We've had them on before. I've made contact with someone. I won't reveal who it is just yet, only because if it doesn't come together, I don't want to kind of out them. But I've confirmed one of the signatories to Sharing Wealth coming on. Probably end up being next week. Let's get back to Chlöe because she's laying some truths.
That rich or richer.
Well, I think that this is a matter of systematic fairness, right? This isn't about envy. This is actually about looking at the facts. So the facts tell us from an IRD report from 2023 that the wealthiest people in this country pay an effective tax rate less than half of that of the average New Zealander.
Because of property, right? Because of property. Because we don't tax property.
Well,
and that's our biggest asset for most of us.
If that was the reason, we can change.
For most of us, Ryan. Right. Most of us. Are you including the billionaires? Are you one of the us?
I think
you
so.
Wanna be.
He goes to their lunches.
Right? Because of property. Because we don't tax property.
Well,
and that's our biggest asset for most of us normal, mere mortals.
No, but more so than that, Ryan, because of the fact that wealthy people are able to arrange their finances in such a way that they can hire the lawyers and the accountants to hide their wealth and not pay fairly
so let's
towards
tax
the
them.
Society that they have earned this wealth from.
Let's tax the bejesus out of them. Let's just say that
Yes.
as a starting point.
Yes.
To pay for, lots of things that I don't doubt are worthy.
Like hospitals.
What happens to them? Do they stay in New Zealand, Karen?
Oh, they'll find other ways.
That old
ways
chestnut.
to use their money, and we're seeing that.
Just to get
That
back to
old
what she
chestnut.
said, have a listen to what she says, because what she's actually saying is the system is broken, and if we try to fix it, they will be nefarious.
Find other ways. They'll find other ways to use their money. And we're seeing that out in our communities, because you'll find that our richest people in this country are actually quite generous when it comes to charities. And if you
And look, I'm sure there's many rich people out there that do very good work with charity and they give money away. But also remember, sometimes it's not just altruism. Sometimes it's they get a kickback from that. They can write it off. They get to stand up and receive a special plaque from someone that they can put on their wall that their businesses can then promote. Let's just be real about it as well. Many of them, I'm just saying, they'll do it because they do it, but not all of them. Just not all of them. That's all.
I'm going to use an example. It's not a person, it's a corporation doing an undeniable good. I can think of two examples. New World doing their recent promotion of food bags for needy families. The customers come in and they buy a food bag, which then gets donated to needy families. New World don't need your help to do the same thing. They could just do it with their super profits that they generate, and then they would get a nice big fat tax break. But this way, they get both. They get the customers to do it and a big fat tax break. McDonald's, undeniable good. Ronald McDonald House. They ask for donations for that. They don't need to. They could do it. McDonald's, one of the most wealthy corporations on the globe. If they wanted to do it just for good vibes, they could fucking do it. But they want you to donate. It's fucked.
You know, I hate it when I have to kind of explain something back, which is the thing about New World is I think they've also got a 300,000 or 300 million or $3 million fund that goes on top of that as well. So they are doing some other, I'm just giving them some accurate stuff. It's not just the donations from the shoppers. There is something else. I don't disagree with your point, but I'm a bit of a stickler. If I can be, I will be accurate. I'm sorry. I apologize for trying to be accurate there, Chewie, because your point is still valid. Cool. Here we go.
I'll
You
allow
look
it.
around this country at the moment, charities are screaming out saying that their donations are dropping because businesses and people who are working really hard to get ahead, actually, when we propose taxes and when we propose costs like this on them, the people that miss out the most are the people that they're trying to help, they're trying to build up, create jobs for,
Chloe,
and that they're helping.
So what she's saying is there's a cost of living crisis, so people don't have that extra $10 to give to a charity, but she's using it as an example to talk about how we should be treating the wealthy better. Because I'm going to Google it. I don't have the numbers in front of you, but I almost guarantee, pick a charity, Tier Fund. I almost guarantee that the majority of the donations given to Tier Fund are not coming from rich billionaires and millionaires. They're coming from thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of families, individuals, school kids getting together 10, 20, 30 bucks a week. So Karen Chhour's just said charities are missing out on money, right? I'm going to do the research because I want to be correct, but I feel pretty confident that this is probably going to be the case. What she's saying is the cost of living crisis is so bad that the average punter that normally supports these charities can't afford to support them. And what's the result from that in this conversation? That we don't tax the rich. How about you fix the cost of living crisis like you fucking promised before the election? Then charities will probably do okay again.
This is
Chewie?
such a cooked argument that she would literally mention that food banks have noticed that their donations are drying up while she's talking about the ultra wealthy that have donated more money than ever before to her party and the National Party to get favourable terms to make sure that we never touch this. Like, oh, we can't do anything about the billionaires because they'll be fucking nefarious about it. They're already being nefarious about it by funneling an ungodly amount of money to the parties that are going, we will give you your money back plus more and never ask you for anything. There are two things that need to happen in this country and ultimately in the world as a whole. Food banks shouldn't exist. Billionaires shouldn't exist. And I bet those two things are fucking related.
Just
I'm a
as
bit heated, Pat.
a quick Google search, NPR, poor are more charitable than the wealthy. I haven't had time to read through it in its entirety yet.
Shocking.
Yeah, so poor are more
Shocking.
charitable.
People that
than the
know
wealthy.
poverty and know what it's like to be on the bones of their ass are more empathetic to people in a worse off situation. While these fucking lizards on their pile of money that have never given a fuck from day one just continue to give less fucks because they've never been in that position.
So the position
Envy, Karen, rage.
the position that Karen Chhour just took, which is like, well, you know, these rich people, charities are losing money. They're not getting as much, and these rich people need to have more money to give to charities. My first, I'm being fair, my first look into it, poor are more charitable than the wealthy. So as I said, fix the cost of living, Karen, like you guys promised, and the charities will probably see an upswing from that. Well done.
In the communities.
I think the thing, I get it if it's intergenerational wealth that's been handed down and no one's had to
don't
work
get
for
it,
it. But if you
Brian.
look at the two most wealthy in New Zealand, Graham Hart's business, he started with one truck by
Good for
himself
him.
and then leveraged the hell out of his business in order to grow it. Took on huge personal
Yeah, but based on the system he was able to do it with, and the system as part of society, the roads that he drove down were paid for by public. You know, like there's all these things. No one gets there by themselves, right? No one. I remember Barack Obama getting quite criticized because he said something like, you didn't build those roads, and it came off like the wrong way. The point is, you cannot get wealthy. You cannot start, even with nothing, and build it without a whole bunch of the ecosystem around you being provided by the taxpayer for nothing. So when you use that ecosystem, whether it's a road to drive on or a health system to fix you when you hurt your back or whatever it is, when you get to the top of the pile of money, then what you can do is give back to others. You know, you leave that ladder down so they can use that hospital or that road or that school, part of the New Zealand schooling system or whatever it is, to then try and do theirs. Their attitude is, don't tax me too much because I don't want kids to follow in my footsteps. All of those advantages that you had as a kid, as a young adult, all those write-offs you got at your from IRD at the start of your business, all of those things all lined up together were benefits that you got from taxpayer dollars. Now that you've made it, how about helping out a few more people try and do what you did, rather than just having it be the minimum you can give? Just fair. I mean, like, I think you said that, didn't you? We just want it to be fair. Just fair, right? F-E-A-R. No, F-A-I-R. It is F-E-A-R.
Make it
F-A-I-R.
fair or start to fear.
But that's
Like,
the thing. It's like you didn't get there on your own. Even if you're a self-made man or woman, you didn't get there on your own, because you used a lot of public assets along the way that all of us paid for. How about you help paying for the ones for the next 50 years, for the next person to get there on their own, self-made man or woman? That's all. Sorry, Joe.
Can we consider that a lot of the people on that rich list made a lot of their money scooping up public assets at bargain basement prices at the end of the 80s, and have just cruised on that ever since?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll tell you right now, this will never happen. Put Graham Hart in front of me. I got one question: how much is enough? When are you finished at the banquet? When do you go, no, I don't need anything else now, or the money that I do own, I'm going to change the world for the better? No, you're just going to funnel more money to the fucking National Party. And we still exist in a country that makes as much food as we do, and we have food banks.
Yep.
Do you walk past people on the street that are sleeping in doorways of empty shops? You know that kids go to school with no shoes and no dinner. You know that there's such deprivation in this country, and then you can open up your bank account or your investment portfolio, and you can honestly look me in the fucking eye and tell me that that's fine. Envy, Karen, rage.
All right, we're going to try and get to the end of this clip now, Chewie. We're going to shut up and let it play
Before
through.
I pop.
Debt and burden and stress and sacrifice, no doubt, for him and his family. And as for the Mowbrays, they were reportedly spending $1 to $2 a day to survive when they had their business.
Probably getting money back from the government when they had nothing. You know, that whole kind of social welfare. Probably getting benefits of some sort thanks to the taxpayer. Let's put some back.
I've
Since in its
never
growth stage.
wanted to take $1 or $2
What do you
away
say to
from someone
those
more.
types, those entrepreneurial types, who perhaps didn't start from a privileged place?
That there's currently 500,000 New Zealanders who are needing to access food banks every single week, that we have persistent rates of child poverty, and that we can address those things if we choose to make sensible decisions to invest to end those issues. That requires a fair tax system. We've done it in the past when we were confronted with some of the worst atrocities known to mankind in the 30s and 40s and the Great Depression. We decided to institute public healthcare, public education and public housing by taxes on those who had profited handsomely during a time of hardship for many. This is about understanding that that poverty and homelessness doesn't come from nowhere. It is directly created by tolerance of mass inequality. And these billionaires are currently in quite comfortable positions and should be contributing to the society that they have made that wealth from.
Look, we don't need to be slicing the pie up smaller. We need to be growing the pie.
I just actually want to address
instead
that.
of
Oh,
trying
God.
to
I just want
take
to
David Seymour, like, this is part of their. What did we get told last night by Mihi? Their practical course before they come MPs. I guarantee that's a chapter.
from
Hi.
people
Yeah,
to
but
give to others.
we've had 40
we
years
have
of-
to encourage this country to become more prosperous by encouraging success, not dragging those down that are successful.
That's beautiful rhetoric, but it just doesn't play out in reality. We've had 40 plus years of the
All right.
squiggly line of GDP going up, but
I'm
so
getting-
too has homelessness, inequality, poverty. And in order to address those issues, we need to understand that it doesn't matter how big an economy is, what matters is how we share.
Chlöe Swarbrick, Green Party co-leader, and Karen Chhour, Act Minister on our...
There you go, Chewie. So, yeah, that's going to be pretty much us for the night. I think we've both had a bit of a foo blow there. Maybe
I
we'll
believe
do them.
that we should all agree that Ryan Bridge should be melted down for his component parts. I know the amount of product that is in his hair would probably be worth a reasonable amount on the open market,
Yeah.
and I'll just replace him.
All right. Sounds good.
Because that'd be a very different interview, Pat.
I'm fascinated to see if that program continues on at all. I mean, like, you know, it's if anyone, we are aware of the work it takes to do sort of a daily news-based show They will have producers and stuff behind the scenes, but it's going to be interesting to see how long that sticks around for.
I know it's the Herald, right? I know it's the Herald. I know Ryan Bridge is talking to his own congregation, but there was a dreadful interview. Like Karen Chhour just plops out rhetoric and fucking buzzword phrases the entire time. And they say, what, 2 questions to Chlöe, then never let her finish?
Yeah. She knows, though. That's why she goes hell for leather.